Welcome back to another episode of The Special Sauce. I am Lee Jones from Society, joined as always by my podcaster in crime, Chrissy Perdikis. Christos, how are you, mate?
I'm good, Lee. Excited for this one, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, buddy. That tan is still pumping
Mate, it's
strong.
never going to go.
Yeah.
I might get just a permanent spray tan, I reckon. What do you recommend?
I reckon it looks good. I reckon keep it up. But
Look a bit healthier, right?
It does. You're glowing.
Thanks, man. Thanks, I try.
Today, what we are going to talk about is something that we are seeing a lot in market. And today we just want to, put some info out there into the market for those agencies who are perhaps struggling to try and attract talent. I think we are getting so many calls of late from agencies of all shapes, sizes, and stages of business. And I think we definitely see a lot of trends with these agencies in terms of their struggles when it comes to trying to find recruiters.
Yeah.
What are you seeing out there, Chris, or what would you have to say about that?
No, I absolutely agree. And I think, what I'd say is we get calls all the time from clients, which is great, right? Reality is everyone's looking for the same thing.
Yeah.
That 3, 4, 5 year recruiter, local market experience within their market can come in and hit the ground running. But, there's also the reality and there's not that many people available, right?
Yep.
So how do you attract people, to make your business or your brand the one of choice?
Yep.
So there's a few different, I think, metrics or different ways that companies can do it.
Yeah.
What would you say is the first thing? What would you say is the one thing that the first thing that maybe, those companies that are looking to grow?
Yep.
Let's focus on them that are, regardless of maybe headcount 4 to 5 people.
Yep.
Want to take that next evolution.
Yeah.
What's probably lacking?
Yeah. So I would say, let's say you're an agency that you're, one and two people and you're looking at your first couple of hires, or maybe you're 3 or 4 and you can't get those next hires and make them stick. I think first and foremost, there's a lot of planning that needs to go into this. Now, obviously, as a business, you will have planned to say, right, what desk do we need? What's the actual patch? And so forth, right? Well, I would hope most business owners would do that before making a hire. But I think what a lot of people do or don't do, before they come to us is think about, what do I actually need for that particular desk, okay? And what I would say to anyone is just put yourself in the position firstly to say, right, yes, this is my unicorn, but you need to be realistic and say to yourself, how realistic am I? Or how likely is it that I'm going to get this, 5-6 year recruiter with local market experience from my direct competitor? And you've got to be honest with yourself. And look, everyone loves their own business, but a lot of the time, I think what you think your own business is compared to reality in market is pretty different. So you need to kind of think about, right, what at a minimum level of what is the minimum level of experience I need for this particular desk? And I think the only way that you can do that is a bit of planning, some market mapping, and looking at the capabilities that you already have internally to say, right, if it's not a 5-year recruiter and I took someone with 18 months, what support or help can I give them that perhaps, we don't need to pay big dollars for that person that I'm probably never going to get anyway.
100%. And I think it's having that mindset, treating your own business like one of your clients, right? Because, every client's going to want, I imagine every agency's client's going to want, the 10 out of 10 superstar, regardless of what role, that has the perfect experience. But, you open the brief with your clients, don't you? And it's almost doing that internally and saying, what are the non-negotiables, the must-haves?
Yep.
But as your point you said, I think if those organisations can, properly map out their market or that desk, let's say, that they're going to bring into the business, right? And it's realistic. I'm not talking a contact list of 100 people. Hey, we've never spoken to these guys, but hey, here's a list. You just smash the phone. That's not market mapping. It's, have you gone out there, you've met the clients, you understand the opportunity. And so when someone comes in day one, they've got something to work on. They're feeling that success, and you can show them that during the interview process as well, right? And be able to prove it. So I think that's incredibly important, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're spot on. Is what you have to be able to do is plan to a point where when you do meet someone, that they can see that you're really clear on what the plan is moving forward. You need to make them feel really comfortable, or at least more comfortable than perhaps your competitor, where they might.
The reality is people want security.
Exactly.
Right? People, in this market and any other, and especially if, touch wood, there's a downturn in the market, people want security.
Yep.
They've got rent, their mortgages, their families, and they want to be able to see that, hey, you know what? There's a plan here.
Yep.
You know, we haven't just had a couple of good quarters and now, let's grow and everything. They want to see structure. They want to see process. They want to see that, hey, you know what? There's a vision to the business and saying, hey, this is our potential growth plan. It doesn't need to be 100 people, but it could be, hey, this is how we're growing. This is our plan for growth. And this is the how we're going to do it.
Yep.
So I think that's being able to demonstrate that at interview process.
Yep.
And showing that you've got your house in order.
100%. That's the perfect phrase, is to have your house in order.
Yeah.
And some of this stuff may seem pedantic, but having things like PDs sorted out, having things like what are your actual working arrangements, right? You need to think about that, because once again, if you're hiring a pretty experienced recruiter and you're a business owner, there's maybe 2 or 3 of you and you're all experienced, you're only in the office maybe 2 days a week, sporadically here and there. If you get someone really senior and experienced, that's cool. But if you have no other option but to hire a few juniors, it means you're going to need to be in, and you need to work out whether or not that's something you're willing to do. And maybe you also need to look at things like, what is from an L&D or a training perspective, maybe I can get that junior person, but maybe I need to outsource some external training to help get these people in. I think that planning, you just need to plan around the fact that you are not going to get that unicorn.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not going to happen.
And the question I think as a business owner, agency owner, manager, whatever you want to ask yourself is, what's the cost of not having someone on that seat?
Yep.
Right? Because you could say, hey, I'm willing to pay 100, 120 grand to get, some big dog in the industry to come and sit on this desk. Whereas you could say, I could probably pay considerably less, right? Get someone with maybe, 1-2 years experience. So your outlay, it's not as massive.
Yep.
You've got time to train them up. They start generating some revenue, right? You're making money. You're getting a presence in there in your market.
Yeah, and we both know that hiring a direct competitor, big dog, isn't the answer to all your prayers, and it's no guarantee that it's going to work out.
No, it's not.
Because maybe they've got a non-compete, whatever. So I think first and foremost, you got to do the planning, put the thought into it, and the preparation, and then I guess the next stage we get to, or the next phase, would be the actual kind of attraction, right? So you've now decided what you want and what you need. How do you now get those people to even come and meet with you?
Yeah.
Well, I think first stage, you've got to partner with a good Rec2Rec, of course.
Yeah, and the best one is obviously Society. So,
of course.
Yeah,
of course.
if you're not doing that, you failed. Don't even bother.
Paid promotion. But
I think firstly, in all seriousness, your brand's got to be known. You've got to be, whether it's your brand or whether, more importantly, what I'd say is the actual leader of that business. They've got to have some presence in market.
Yep.
And I get it. Not everyone loves, good old LinkedIn or whatever. But the reality is that's what's happening in market.
I think candidates or recruiters go and look at that stuff too.
100%. And
if they're from your industry, they know of you.
Yeah, that's right. So I think having that, call it personal brand, but also extending that and developing an actual good EVP.
Yeah.
And not just the fluff of, a day off on your birthday or anything like, which is, look, it's great, but something that's real.
Yep.
And we could sit here and talk all day about it, and I won't go into detail, but something that's going to attract people. And typically EVP, it's not just about extra cash or extra, whatever it may be. And I guess developing that really strong EVP that's going to at least get people to the door and coming to have a conversation with you, right?
Yeah.
So whether, I'd say look specific to what's within your sector, whatever it may be, and find something that's going to, as I said, at least get people knocking on the door.
Yeah. So you mentioned about building a good EVP, right? Like I think an employee value proposition, it incorporates or it's made up of a whole heap of different stuff, right? So let's talk about some of these things, right? So we've got obviously your salaries and commission structures. I think if you're a newer business or you're looking to grow, maybe maybe you pay a little bit over. Maybe you can pay unders if you get someone with no experience altogether. Maybe from a commission plan perspective, to dangle that extra carrot for your first few hires, they get more commission on new business placements versus account management, right? But I think definitely, no surprise there, your salaries and commissions, something you got to look at. Next up, working arrangements.
Extremely important. Right, extremely important. I think it's, you touched on it before, right? It's leading by example. If you've got, I think the average is 3 and 2, right? Yep. 3 days in, two days at home. You can't be that leader or that manager says, it's Tuesday, I can't be asked. So, leave the new guy in the office by themselves.
Yep.
It's committing to that, right?
Yep.
and actually having one that's actually structured, and it's going to, I guess, allow you to create a culture that people actually want to come into work.
Yeah. I think with the working arrangements, we get asked a lot by agency owners, what's everyone else doing and blah, blah, blah. And we've spoken about it before. We are seeing agencies get people in more and more. But I would say whether you want to do 2 days in the office or you want to do 5, pick something and just stick to it.
Yeah.
Because I think flipping and flopping and changing it just leads to frustration for your team.
100%.
I think the other thing, you've got to look at is still on, I guess, part of the EVP is what do you have with regards to learning and development, right? Yes, they'll learn from you, but if you're at that stage of the business, you're probably worthwhile building some relationships with external trainers. And I think, you need to be at a point where you have that stuff in place, because if you do get to meet someone and they say, what do you do for L&D? And you say, we're looking at some external training. Nah, man, fuck that.
Yeah.
You got to have this stuff ready.
100%. You got to be able to, and it probably comes back to, things like as well, your targets and your KPIs and your budgets as well. You got to know, and that's probably comes in the planning component of this.
Yep.
What's a standard? What's average, what's good, what's great in your business?
Yep.
And what does that lead to? So being able to articulate that expectation really early on, because there's nothing worse than saying, you come in here, mate. Yeah, there's no real KPIs. Do what you need to do, and bill as much as you can, obviously. And well, no shit, like that's the job, right? But people want to know what happens if what's an average week look like?
Yep.
What do I need to do? What does success look like in 6, 12 months in this business?
Yeah, 100%. I think having as I kind of touched on before, having all this stuff ready is so important. Even things like a promotion criteria and making it really clear and really structured about what do you need to do to get to the next step. Because, when those recruiters are meeting with you, they want to know about this kind of stuff. And if you just say, look, let's just get through probation and we'll talk about it from there. Yeah. Once again, it's so much better if you can say, here, I'll send you, have a look at this now. I'll send it to you after the interview. This is our promotion criteria, which clearly states what you need to do from a, cultural perspective, what you need to do from a target perspective, billings perspective to get to that next step. So, once again, the preparation that you do then kind of helps you develop this attraction strategy in your EVP. Yeah,
100%. And I think you look into, any high performance environment, right? People talk about KPIs and all that sort of stuff. Let's take, sporting teams, right? Probably, everyone talks about high performance. You think they just walk in and kick a footy or throw a basketball around and, hey, rely on talent? They've got targets, they've got KPIs, they get measured on every little thing they do. And you've got to be able to articulate that as well to your potential new consultant.
100%. I think one of the final things on that as well is you do need to make it tangible. So, put this stuff on the work, a work for us page on your website. Get a PDF put together that you can send to people post-interview or pre-interview or that you can send to Rec2Recs to help you, to help you sell your opportunities. I've seen some kind of, 1-2 pager PDFs out there that, that sell this company really, really well, way better than their website or their socials. And, having something tangible that we can send to candidates also helps.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the next sort of, step in that, is just around interview process, right?
Yep.
And I know it seems basic, and it says, interview process, we're recruiters, right? And, take us through what are companies or agencies, I should say, what advice do you have to them around an interview process?
What advice would I have? Well, I would say, having recruited a range of industries over 15 years, this was probably the thing that surprised me the most coming into Rec2Rec is just how crazy in general, agencies' interview processes are. And I'm talking for the amount of time it takes, the lack of structure, just everything about it. So I think, definitely interview process, I guess this is something that you need to plan as well. Because I can tell you now, we've made placements with some agencies that, you would have never thought would have secured some of these recruiters, but it's because they had a good process. So we're talking quick, efficient. They're probably the two main things. Now, there's no doubt you got to make sure that you cover everything that you want. But, I would say 3 at a stretch, 3 maybe. You want to get it in 2, potentially 3. Any more than 3, you're dreaming.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think, it's advice you'd give to your clients.
Yep.
Right at the end of the day. Time kills all deals, right? The longer they go, the more opportunity they have to say, you know, I might look at something else.
Yep.
You know, and all of a sudden you're in week 5 of a process. Oh, you guys were number 1, but then, you know, 2 days ago, someone hit me up.
Yeah. Well, if you're a recruiter and you're going through a process with a company, you've had 5 or 6 interviews, what confidence does it give you in terms of working for that business? Not much.
That's right.
So it's got to be a good process. I think something that people really need to do in that process, and it can be hard, right? Because, you know, as a business owner, sometimes you are guarded around certain things about your business. But I think if you are struggling, it's really important. Like, as I said, if you've got this planning, the preparation, the next thing is to be really open and honest about where things are.
Yeah.
Because selling a lemon is only going to, you know, it's only going to mean you're going to have this person start and they're going to be gone within 6 weeks. In the meantime, you've bought them a new laptop, a new phone, you've put them through training, you've spent a shit ton of money, and they're gone because you lied.
Yeah.
Or bent the truth, let's say. Lie's probably harsh.
I think one other thing as well is, developing that personal relationship, right, with the hiring manager. So whether that's the agency owner or a divisional manager, practice lead, whatever it is, you know, I see time and time again, you know, there's businesses that, you know, really get the people that they want is that hiring manager's got a relationship with them.
Yeah, from the start.
From the start, you know, they have that first interview with yourself, Lee, you know, you're messaging that candidate afterwards, you know, thanks for your time. The 1%ers,
Yep.
You know, following up with them in the next day, hey, any concerns, any questions? You're meeting with Chris tomorrow. Let me prep you for the interview with Chris.
Yeah.
After they've met with Chris, you're the one following up and saying, hey, how'd you go? Even if they're dealing, you know, through a rec-to-rec, you're still, you know, as the agency owner, and like we've got no issue with that, right?
Yeah.
You know, send them a quick text.
Yeah.
Following up, little things there that, as I said, in the end, they all add up, right? And at the end of the day, everyone wants to be wanted. Yep. It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think you're spot on. Like, I think it's very important that the agency owner gets involved really early, sorry. And if that agency owner isn't the direct line manager, that direct line manager needs to be involved straight away. Like, I know of agencies that are out there where they have a structured process, but they don't actually meet their line manager sometimes till the 3rd or 4th interview, right? Like, they meet a TA or an internal person, an ops person, they meet the team, they meet the CEO, and they still haven't met their direct line manager. It's like, how's that ever going to give you the result that you want? But yeah, I think, you know, what you touched on there about those 1%ers, you know, it's other things like you really need to roll out the red carpet if you want to attract these recruiters, right? You know, being really flexible with your time to accommodate them. Yeah, happy to meet this guy at 5:30 for an interview because they can't do 2:00, which suits me better.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's those little things. It's maybe for that second interview, maybe you do a lunch at a nice place or something like that. That adds up, as opposed to bring someone in, sit them in a 2 meter by 2 meter interview room and absolutely smash them.
Yeah.
You know, it's just the experience is going to help you secure this talent.
Absolutely. People will work for people they like, right?
100%. Well, hopefully there's been some good insights there if you are an agency looking to hire. We do work with a lot of our clients on some of this stuff to I guess, help them, but also make their recruitment processes a lot easier and attract better talent. So if you do need any help, you can reach out to me or Chris. We will be happy to help. Chris, thank you for your time today. Another episode in the bag.
Thank you, Leroy. Excited. The next one, and let's bring on 2026.
It is, mate. Thank you for listening to another episode of The Special Sauce, and we will see you next time.
Cheers, guys.
Peace out. That's a wrap for this episode of The Special Sauce. We hope that you're walking away with some insights that you can actually use every day on your desk. If you enjoyed the conversation, follow, like, subscribe, or leave a review so we can reach more recruiters just like you. For more about Sorciety, check out our website on society.com or follow us on LinkedIn. Thanks for listening and see you next time on The Special Sauce.